We got budget wish list items tonight, and we're going to try to go through. We've got a whole list of items, but luckily for all of us, there are a lot of the same items listed on page after page after page, so we should be able to go through a lot of these, hopefully rather quickly. And we've got Ms. Kelly Flannery, Director Kelly Flannery, here with us from Finance to kind of help us bounce things off of, to see where we are with these things, whether we can do them or whether it's might need to wait or whether it's just not doable this year. So we've had some conversations and we're trying to narrow things down. So I think the Arts Commission, I'm going to kind of jump over the Arts Commission. We have had some talks. There's some money in the excess surplus that we're looking at for the Arts Commission. And so I don't know that the big numbers that people have asked for, if we'll be able to get there, but I think we're going to be able to look at getting some money to the Arts Commission. So I think hopefully everybody will be happy with that.
May I ask a question, Chair?
Come first out.
Are we looking at, I know that Women's Caucus and Minority Caucus did $3 million. Are you saying less than that potentially for arts?
We're looking
but
at
somewhere in there.
Okay. In that range. So we're kind of looking right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't want to give everything away before the time comes.
Okay.
Yes. Director Flannery, you're right.
Sure. A different group than was here last time, and we spoke a little bit about it at council on Tuesday and budget committee on Monday. I'm not sure what you're contemplating for arts, if it's for capital or programming. And so that goes back to Councilmember Mendez's proposed amendment that would require a change to the allowable uses of surplus beyond capital. So just a flat, and I'm indifferent if that's your goal, but just that action will need to occur as well.
Thank you, Director Flannery, for bringing that up. See, that's why she's here, to make sure I don't screw anything up. So. All right, so we go all the way down. We're through the second page. I haven't had a chat yet about the tow trucks for the abandoned vehicles yet. We'll have a chat with that. The Community Education Commission.
Can I?
No, that's all right.
I just wanted to say, when you are having that conversation about the trucks, we probably need to have a conversation about FTEs to drive the trucks, because I don't think we have anybody on staff to do that. So that would be a necessary addition as well.
I understand.
Yeah.
And
May I ask a question on that as well, Chair? It was my understanding that there was an RFP put out for the contract. Is that no one responded to the contract to replace it? Thank you.
And Director Flannery is shaking her head up and down. See, these are the kind of things I need to know.
Sure. Two times we bid it out and got no responses.
Okay, so that makes things, it's kind of hard to spend money on something that no one wants to do. So we'll have to take a look at that, maybe at a later date. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to ask a question too, while you're kind of tagging on that one. Can you explore, or is there opportunity to like just outsource it in a different way? Like I'd be calling AAA if I broke down. Like, is there any avenue around that that's not RFP related? I don't know.
Director Flannery might.
So on my calendar, I think it's Monday, we have another call with NDOT and law to explore other options that maybe greater incentivize people to respond to it. I think a lot of the challenge has been there's not really any money in it for them. So what does that look like?
But we are towing trucks, because like I've had or I've been made privy to where there's been abandoned vehicles and the police department comes and they put their little note on there and it stays there for however many days. And then the police department calls somebody and they tow it. So the police have the ability to do it. How come NDOT doesn't?
Well, the problem has been that police can tow, but getting them to tow certain situations, they'll say, well, I can get to that in 2 weeks, versus Codes being able to put a sticker on it that's a 3-day or a 10-day. The contract that Codes specifically had expired last year, where they were actually going out, getting the cars once the date came, holding the cars, and then crushing the cars. So what Codes was doing was a lot more effective than what police is actually able or willing to do currently, unfortunately.
Okay.
And this might have been in our first term. We had the issue. Was it the issue in the first term where we had cars were being towed to lots and they were just, I'm just asking anybody, y'all remember, they used to sit on lots forever and we could never get anybody to pick up cars, and they were wanting to be I forget when that was, but it was a big issue. So anyway, this is a much bigger issue than it seems like. So we just all have to remember that. So Community Education Commission, I don't know if there's anybody here that wants to talk about that.
I'm not on, I mean, I didn't submit it, but this is the one, that we shut down the community education program at the Cone School. And then, the kind of the libraries, from my understanding, have taken up some of that slack about like community classes and things.
Okay.
It is a minority caucus request too, as well.
Okay. I'm just taking a look. All right. Community Oversight Board, I think this is for the rent, and we were just discussing that. Director Flannery, would you like to just mention that real quick? So.
Sure, that one is actually already budgeted. We moved all of departmental rents into the general services line, so it is funded.
All right.
I didn't mean to.
I try to keep mine quiet when I do that, so it sounds bad when the budget chair does. All right. All right. And then it's my understanding that I talked with Director Flannery. Director Flannery, not that is that right on that one? The next one down? On the minority, the two.
DEI position? What does DEI mean? Diversity. Oh,
So
sorry.
the source that had been offered to me when it was, before it got actually filed, was existing finance department positions, which was going to make for an awkward conversation. So that's where I was a little opposed to it, but.
This
I
is
think if these
additional,
Yeah.
additional positions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is a little more easier to explain.
Okay.
Thanks for that accommodation, whoever made that change.
Sorry. Say, can you explain
you.
what we're doing on this? I'm sorry. I
So
thought
it's
that.
for 2.5 positions for, hold on, I just have my notes in front of me. So one is a DEI policy position. The other one is for equitable community development. And the third, half position is a trainer.
Director Flannery, did you
And
have
this is
a
for Andrea.
position on this? I didn't know if.
Sure, Andrea, in the finance department administers the DEI program for the entire Metro organization. And in its short infancy, it's really been focused just on Metro departments with a goal upon its establishment to get larger and into the community. And this is just the next phase of that. Because of all the challenges, many departments asked for things that we weren't able to fulfill, but this was a request. We'd be happy to take it on if there's a way to fund it.
Okay. That's what I need to know. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to ask Director Flannery a
Yes,
question.
she's
So
happy to-
you say, so these positions touch all of Metro departments? It's not just restricted to your department?
Oh, not at all. No, they serve, make up a story. I want to say they've touched 25 departments and they go and do trainings, and it's been, I went through it in my own department. It's been really fun,
Okay,
actually.
thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we've had some conversations. The next one on I don't know, it got stuck in between the two the 2.5 DEI positions. Councilmember Toombs, you'll be glad to know I'm circling your DEI positions here to see what we can do there. The $8 million for the Morris Building, we've had discussions about this. Could you kind of explain where we are on that building so everybody understands? Yeah, Director Flannery, I'm sorry.
Sure. I'm not sure if the purchase price is 8 or 12. 12 was in my head at an earlier date. I think what I know about this building is there is a substantial cost to bring it up to code. Maybe it's not in the best current condition, far in excess of the purchase price. So I'm not sure, one, that the operating budget is the appropriate place to acquire a property. That's something we typically debt fund through the capital program in the first place. And I also don't know where the dollars would come from to get it up to snuff.
Councilmember, Vice Chair Gamble, you're
Thank you, Chair. I wondered if we can verify that this is in the capital improvements budget request as well. Do we know? It is, okay. So it is in the capital improvements budget.
Okay, so that's good. So that's one item that we can maybe move down the pike. All right, so the next is obviously the big item, and for all you who don't know, my number one goal is making sure that the COLA I think we're all trying to reach a number that's good for our employees, and gives them a little bit extra. There's been a lot of inflation lately, and I know that everybody's been working on this. I think the issue is going to come down to however much we take, most of the rest of this list goes away. And so I think that a lot of you would prefer to have a few of these items funded because they're important to people in our city. So the question is, how high do we go? And then how much, you can rob a lot of departments to take things, but how much, sometimes you got to make, it's compromise here. We all know this. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as the COLA amount that we get to. So I'm hoping when we go through these items and whatever case y'all make, and the former budget chairs are down there shaking their head, they completely understand because they've been here before too. We've got to go through these items and make sure that we can get the things that need to be funded that are important to everybody, but we need to make sure that the COLA and the employees are taken care of. And so that's what we're looking to do. So that's why we'll just go ahead and skip over this. Just believe me, we're looking at the COLA to see what we can do, and then we'll look at that's why I want to go through these items and see what we can knock out and what's important, what's not important. Then we can kind of, that way when I start looking at this tomorrow and over the weekend, by the time Monday comes around, we'll kind of have it knocked down to where then we'll get down to the hard ones, y'all understand. So, okay. So skipping over the COLA, so everybody knows that that's something that's important. Councilmember Bradford had brought forth all of these FTEs for the Department of Health. It's my understanding, and it's my understanding from the director of the.
I think you skipped the whole Highland Rim. There's a couple in between the
Oh,
colas.
I apologize. Did I miss?
Well, no, they snuck in cola, Highland Rim, cola.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was all COLA. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know how it got in there, but she's in there.
Where is it in there?
250.
It's under
250.
finance.
Oh, it's in the middle. Oh, I'm
They're
there.
in the middle. I don't
Oh,
know.
it is in the middle. How they got there, I don't know. Okay. So,
But I'm gonna let you cross it off because I think we got confirmation from planning that 250 is already within their planning bucket. Well, I'll triple confirm, but I'm pretty sure it's already in there.
Councilmember Allen?
I will just say it makes more sense to either be in parks or planning as opposed to general government. So I would definitely strike it from here and we'll.
Okay.
Maybe
And so
a little bit more
kind of
special
makes me
categories.
happy to know that planning's kind of looking at this. And then I talked to Monique earlier today, and we were just discussing a lot of things, and this kind of came up. So I think it's on everyone's radar, and I think that's where, it needs to be to make sure we're taking care of this. So, but thank you, Councilmember Allen, for bringing, the issue.
Good. We will keep the awareness
Yes.
out there.
Chair,
And somebody's yelling chair. Oh,
I am.
Councilmember Stiles.
As you jump ahead to health, that I know if we can't get all of these, there are 4 positions that they would definitely like if we can't do all of these. So as we go through.
Yeah, and that's, I had spoken with someone, the director of health had told me or something, and I don't know that this is accurate or not accurate, but I'd like for someone to let me know for sure that they don't necessarily have the space right now in their location. Is that not correct, or?
The problem is, if you speak to the director of MAC, and for those that aren't aware, our department has 14 employees. All of our comparable cities have 32. And in speaking to Dr. Wright, he has some other priorities. But MAC has desperate needs, and they do have the room for these specific positions. In speaking to Director Harrington, these are the positions that they can actually accommodate. If we speak with Dr. Wright, then he'll kibosh them. But given the clamor from constituents as a whole and frustration, we have not looked at this department adequately for over a decade. We really need to add some of these positions.
And what 4 positions were you looking at that you thought were the?
They would like a new vet and 2 vet techs and, one moment, a foster coordinator.
Okay.
And of course, I'm making a request for the capital improvements. We need to find a lot of land. There was land that they had wanted to get, and we took too long to respond, and it was purchased, but they need another location as well.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So some of these numbers are kind of all over the place. There's the Minority Caucus Porterfield style, or no, sorry, and Toombs have the same number for the same request, 183.92. But then Bradford has one FTE for the veterinarian that's 126. So is that the vet is the 126 and then the vet tech is whatever the difference is?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Oh, here's this thing. Gotcha.
And they do need 2 techs per vet. If you ask them, it helps with getting the spay and the neuter going again, which we are currently unable to do.
So, okay, because everyone else is asking for 2 FTEs, the vet and the vet tech, the vet and the vet tech. Bradford's asking for the vet and the vet tech. 1 vet tech.
The list that I got from Ashley was vet, 2 vet techs, foster coordinator, the building and immediate coordinator. But if they're going to take 4 positions, the vet and the 2 techs would be critical, and the foster coordinator, which they have been wanting for about 3 years. And in my request, I had actually included all of her positions in my request, which was the 536, 102. So if we can figure out just those 4 positions, I think that gets us on the road to making things better for MAC and for all of our animal constituents.
Thank you. I forgot to mention one thing. So Margaret's gonna be like, oh, Kevin. I'm gonna ask Margaret, once we get through with these things, that after we cross them off, the things that are big and they're with departments, I'm gonna ask her to reach out tomorrow and kind of get a response back from the department on kind of how they feel about this and what they need and, and where we are. And that way I can get a response that way when I start breaking things down, if the department's saying no, 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 then I have an idea. They're saying no, 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 we don't need this. Or if they're saying yes, yes, we would love this, then that kind of helps me know that the actual departments or the agencies need what we're asking for. So,
One is concerned that there's a discrepancy between Dr. Wright and Director Harrington?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's problematic, because if it's going to come back that you're going to call him tomorrow, then he's going to say, no, 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 here are my priorities, and then we're going to get overwhelmed again.
well, I'm going to ask that they, reach out.
Reach out to Director Harrington as well?
To others as well,
On
to
her
make sure
own?
that we're kind of covering our bases on some of this stuff.
Thank you.
Yes. So, I don't see Councilmember Welsh here on the medical supplies. I'm assuming this is just.
Chair, I talked to Dr. Webb, that's not a need, and I think medical supplies will come out of 4% anyway.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know on that one. All right, we're on page 5, Human Relations. Minority Caucus had an FTE for compliance, and I see it's listed 4 times. So if somebody want to kind of, a question to what it is. So Councilmember Toombs, would you want to do that, or Councilmember Stiles, just kind of?
I'm going to let Councilmember Toombs take it, because she found the funding source.
So actually, it would be great if Councilmember Porterfield, as the chair of the caucus, was here, because she's the one that talked to Pastor Tucker about the need for this, because he didn't get any of his FTE request. And so this is the one that he would like to have, and I can't give you an in-depth description as to what that person would do. Compliance is compliance. But I can't give you any additional detail than that because I didn't have the conversation.
Does this apply to inclusivics?
Yes,
This
there we
is
go.
what
Thank
I'm
you.
believing this correlates with.
Okay, I'll
The
try to.
report that they just released, yeah.
Yes.
I'll try to see if we can get some feedback on what this actually is. So thank y'all. And then we're moving down to human resources. It looks like a FTE recruitment and retention specialist trainer. And this looks like it came from Porterfield and Toombs and the Veterans Caucus. Oh, that's a different one. I'm sorry. So Councilmember Toombs, do you know what this one is, or was this a?
So this is coming from Rozelle, who's the workforce development manager. And so these are positions that he needs to assist in the work that he does. He had asked for 2.5, which is a retention specialist, recruitment specialist, and half an FTE for a training specialist. And so we just combined, in trying to find numbers that work, just combined the recruitment and retention specialist into one person, and then the half FTE for the trainer. I believe, yes, that's the work that he does.
Is the other half, this half that's in finance?
Yes.
I'll work with them. The 2.5 in finance is 212,000, but 1.5 in HR is 278, and I'm just not. I'll follow
So,
up
well,
with them.
they're different salaries. The training specialist, that was given, the number that was given by Rozelle was, like $35,690.65. And then Andrea, okay, that may be this split in half. The 63,000 salary plus 27,000 estimated insurance and benefits. So yeah, that they could provide more details. We're just using the numbers they gave us.
But 4 is the total for DEI between the two departments, for any of the
Yes.
4 positions.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right, I know Councilmember Druffel had submitted the big number item for the library. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Councilmember Druffel was still at planning. I left him there. He wasn't able to leave, but I also would like support this request for NASA. When they presented to the committee during the budget hearings, they mentioned that actually 1.7 million was needed to add an additional 900 students during the summer and 400 after school. But this request is for at least 1 million, and they would use that to add as many as they can. Would also serve in addressing transportation costs that they have as well with getting students from school to these programs.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I see the Minority Caucus has some NASA and then some NECAT, and then library parking, so it's all kind of NECAT, so it's all kind of together. Did you want to speak to it, or it was all kind of grouped here together? Yeah.
You wanted me to speak to, Chair?
Yeah, I didn't, they're all Minority Caucus and Councilmember Porterfield, and they're all the exact same items. So I
Right.
didn't know if y'all had a conversation about this in caucus meeting or
We met yesterday, and these were the items that we chose as a group to support. Well, NASA was one of those, and the number that was given to the group by Councilwoman Swirl was the 633,000.
okay. So we've got several requests for that. Director Flannery, on the library parking, do you have any information on that? And kind of, I know there's a number here, but we kind of had discussions on the library parking. What's the issue with that? Just so it could bring me up to speed again, I'm sorry.
The issue is the garage is full, not just because of the library, but the Renaissance Hotel across the street. They all have shared spaces there. So I think libraries is looking at, for the key card access that they have, is there a way to share those key cards? Because not everyone's working on the same day, but it is a space issue, and there's just not enough space in that parking garage.
Okay. I didn't know if does the hotel, do they sell all the spaces if they can, or does the library get what's left over? I just
I'm
was
gonna
curious.
maybe tell a lie, but this is the garage that the bearing fell out of, and so I learned a little bit about it from that project. And I think SP Plus maybe administers it, and there is a contract between them and the Renaissance that they have so many spaces. And then it leaves the library some. And last I knew, I think some of those spaces were still unavailable because they were doing repair work. So I'm not sure if that's been resolved,
No,
but.
it hasn't. Thank you, Chair. I
Vice
just
Chair.
left the library for a NASA program, and the parking garage, the fifth and sixth floor are closed for parking because of the repairs and construction. So they have
That's a lot of
limited parking because of that.
That's a lot of spaces right there, yeah. So is there anywhere around, I mean, even if, like, obviously, the 300,000, or almost 300,000 that people are asking for, I mean,
We continue to offer the shuttle from the stadium lots up, but there's no room at the end here. Parking is a challenge.
okay. Councilmember Cash, you recognize.
I'm just trying to remember, because this was something on that we added. There was something about library parking that we added last year in six figures. I can't remember exactly what, and I don't remember the exact detail. But is this like, do we know if what we added last year to help library employees park, this is remained, and this is on top of that, or are we being requested to put it back in, or?
I believe this is an addition, but as I mentioned,
That's-
there are no additional spots to be
That's
had.
not my understanding. My understanding is that we're putting it back in, that it was taken out of their budget request for fiscal year '24, and we're adding it back in.
Again, there are no spots in the garage.
Ms. Wilson, you are recognized.
Thank you. I'm happy to help. This was requested last year. We ran into the same problem that the library garage itself was booked out, that there were not spaces that we actually could acquire for those employees. And I want to remind everyone kind of downtown, all Metro employees have free parking. It's just some of it is very close in and contingent, and some of it is out at the stadium lots with shuttles. Since we couldn't get them dedicated parking spots themselves last year, and this kind of came up through the process a little bit later, we did arrange through an amendment for there to be a dedicated shuttle. There was a cut to NDOT's budget last year in the amendment process, and it was six figures. Don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but it was to create a dedicated shuttle for library employees who park out at the the stadium lots, and they have their own shuttle and their own hours for that to bring them straight to the library and to bring them straight back. That shuttle is still in existence. As I understand it, they're working through a solution now with some new technology for sharing passes for the limited spots that they do have, because they still have the contract problem too. So I'm not sure, and I will suggest that council staff follow up, but I'm not sure that they could actually spend this money on new spots, because I don't think we have resolved that contractual problem. But what they are doing is getting greater utilization out of the spaces that they have, and we would continue the shuttle.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. See, that's helpful. That's the good stuff right there. Yeah. Councilmember, Emily, you're recognized first because you raised your hand first, then Sean, you're next. So.
My questions were just answered.
All right. Sean, you're recognized.
I was curious, just the overall parking situation for Metro employees. So we have a spot for everyone. Do we have any kind of like incentive or program for folks that can use the bus or bike, or like, can they like opt out of having us save them a spot or get some
Ms.
kind
Wilson,
of benefit
you're
for
recognized.
not
Ms.
using
Wilson.
a spot?
Ms. Wilson, you know you are welcome at this table. Just to stay right there. You know that, right?
Very kind of you. I'm going to recognize one of our colleagues here, Steve Bland from MTA, RTA. We actually have the ability for all employees to have passes for free on our bus system. And so, yes, they have that option, and they have the ability to opt out of their parking spots as a result for any alternative uses that they'd like as well. But there is a free program, and it's for all employees of Metro.
That's great. Thank you.
Didn't we apply that to MNPS this year? Yes. Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Thanks,
Thank you.
Ms. Wilson. All right. So moving on. So we've got. All right. So library has a NECAT. Library parking, library NECAT. All right. If I'm jumping over anything that y'all see, I don't mean to. It's like it's all together. So.
Could we clarify NECAT?
I'm sorry.
I know what NECAT is, I just don't know what the request is for.
Director Flannery, could you, yeah, it looks like Minority Caucus. It looks like several people have asked for the NECAT. So if someone could explain that for everybody.
I'm curious, it might be translation services, or I know that we had looked at.
Yeah, it looks like Minority Caucus, Councilmember Porterfield and council members for, yeah,
It's community education based.
okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Moving down to the mayor's office. Oh, sorry, no, never mind, I apologize, I skipped over Councilmember Wells. She's not here, but she just wanted to take, it looks like she wanted to add $6 million to the library's budget, so. Director Flannery, you in favor of that? All right, it's good to hear that. Okay. Yeah, taking it from police and the Fair Board and the Community Safety Fund. Okay. The mayor's office, add the Office of Community Safety if, it looks like we've got several requests for this community safety program. Director Flannery, do you know the details on this? So we could kind of give everybody here a understanding of what we're talking about.
I would love to defer to my colleague, Ms. Kristen Wilson.
Ms. Wilson, have you left the room? Are you back to your seat? We have your name on that seat now, you know, so it's,
I'm bringing my stuff up.
okay, thank you.
And I do like sitting next to council members Cash and Toombs, so that's nice as well. Community safety over the last 3 years, we have cobbled together a lot of funding for them for pilot and innovation programs. Great program, great office led by Ron Johnson. Across Governor's Grant, CARES, American Rescue Plan funding, and our operating budget, we've given them about $5 million over the last several years. Now, I know there have been some grants coming through, so my numbers are probably not quite up to snuff, but I believe the grants that they've pushed out so far have been about $500K of that $5 million. And a lot of those are one-time items. And so there's just a really large balance to work through still coming out of that team. And again, a lot of it was innovation. A lot of those were one-time items that have been coming through. I think maybe there's some recognition of that here. That's my understanding, but we can certainly get more in-depth
If you could
details.
just, yeah, if you could get us a balance. Vice Chair Gamble, you recognize.
Thank you. I serve on this community, well, I served
Yes.
rather on this community's safety program. And from what I understand, the office had a $2 million request for continuing grants as it relates to reduction in violence programs. And the request was cut back to 1 million instead of 2 million that they were, had already had plans for working with communities out. Right now, they're doing pilots in North Nashville and South Nashville, but to expand those pilots across other areas in the city, East Nashville, West Nashville, they were hoping to get that $2 million, but it was cut to 1 million. Now, I'm not sure what the 450 number, where that came from, but I know that they were short the budget request of 1 million to continue expansion of those programs for the next fiscal year.
The 450, since their request was 1 million short, it's just adding back 450,000.
And so I've asked council in our office to see if we could find out the exact balance of what they're holding on to right now for grants and see if that's going to be adequate for the next calendar year and, fiscal year, I should say. And so hopefully we can take a close look at that and help them out if possible. Next, obviously, we have something that takes up a page and a half. So everybody wants to give money to the Metro Action Commission.
Wait, I'm sorry, Chair.
Oh, did I
You
skip something?
Yes, you did. You skipped over the Entertainment Commission, one full-time employee.
Sorry, I apologize.
Which is actually my request through the caucus, and I didn't get to update it on my personal wish list. But as we started the budget for this department last year at $100,000, that was inadequate for the director's initial salary. But with this additional 105, the director could have one assistant. So they're not in there by themselves. It's ridiculous to have a director and nobody to help them.
Thank you for letting me know that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. So the next item was the Metro Action Commission. It looks like almost everyone put down a $25,000 balance on this. There's a couple of 50s, there's a 75, and then Councilmember Welsh is asking for $5 million for this. Councilmember Evans, since your name is the first on the list, can you want to,
I'm going to defer to Councilwoman Stiles. Thank you.
Councilmember Stiles, you ready now?
Thank you, Councilmember
Are all
Evans.
these your requests, Councilmember Stiles?
There might be a few on here. So, the 25,000, this is coming from the Women's Caucus. That is for the position that we funded last year of a restorative therapist. There were some expenses that came up this year in the first year that Dr. Kroom asked for an additional 25,000. So that's what we're supporting, Women's Caucus and Minority Caucus. The 50,000, or actually, wait, 75,000 is for nonprofits, and that's for the Safe Bar program, the Sexual Assault Center.
Gotcha.
And I am forgetting one. Dun, dun. That was Sepulveda's. Forgive me, there's something that I'm missing, but I'll
Is the
come back to
restorative
it.
therapist the same as the RAFI Institute?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just want to make sure, because
It's one and the same.
yeah, some of this is in, like you said, you had your arch thing right in the middle of the mayor, so don't want to overlook anything, so make sure we're,
And Chair, MC3 is the apprenticeship program.
okay.
It's a
Yeah, it's a
separate
separate.
request.
How much is that the 50?
That's
That's
50.
the 50. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so they're split 25 and 50, I got you. Okay. Thank you very much. We're down to, I know this is Councilmember Stiles, because she's hungry. Just- Recognized, and your stomach is recognized at 11:30 on a Tuesday night.
Thank you again, Chair. So, as we know, for these 4 years, we have been either on the phone or here in the building very late. And so if we could just add an additional $2,000, there's a hosting line item already for the council office. This would mean council members individually don't have to pay for everybody's food and try and do the who wants to pay me back game. Rosie would just be able to call, place an order for the late nights, not every single meeting, but Rosie's somewhere in here. Oh, she was.
Should I clarify also that the typical meal is pizza, occasionally subs? We're not having steak with this
Thank you,
budget.
Councilmember Benedict,
We
for
also
making that
are
clear.
eating it on the fly on a paper napkin in between meetings.
And I will.
And there is a
Keep it
door
warm.
monitor often letting us know whether or not we are allowed to leave to get food or drink.
And last
Or
night,
bathroom.
the budget chair had so much on the agenda that he got back there and there was nothing left. So I just starved. So that's the way it usually happens.
So you're welcome from my stomach and myself.
Why were you there yesterday?
I'm sorry, day before yesterday. See, Councilmember Gamble, Vice Chair Gamble, he,
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was just having a discussion with Director Flannery, wondering if we could add,
Me and your face. I wasn't there.
if we could add in this amount of funding for a television for that break room, so that when we're in there eating pizza, we can follow the meeting.
and yeah, it would be nice if there was a small, the other rooms sometimes don't have the TVs on. It would be nice if you go back there, you can see,
Right.
if no one's ever
What's going
noticed,
on.
sometimes you'll see council members running in and they have
Or
pizza.
you'll see Matthew
and they'll have
running
pizza-
in telling us. if we
Pizza all over their chin because they didn't know that their bill was up or that a vote was about to happen because they've been back. So anyways, we will discuss this and I'll talk to Ms. Rosie and see what we can do. So,
Thank you, Chair.
or the director. Do you have any comments, Director? I don't think she wants to speak on this.
Just knowing how much the food cost that is delivered on the nights when it is ordered, this amount would not cover very much food for you. It would probably be in the range of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
that
I'm
she may-
allergic, so
that
let's
she
figure
may
out how
say.
much more we need to add.
We'll figure that out.
Oh.
And add the television cost.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Bland, we have 4 items for Better Bus. And since you're here, could you come up here and just let us, I keep hearing about Better Bus and you have some council members who are very much wanting to talk about the Better Bus program. And I'm all for it. I just want to kind of hear where we are on this and what this would do. I know I've heard a 2.8 number, and this looks like it's the number that's been proposed is half that number. It's 1.4 on the wish list item. So if you could just kind of talk about that a little bit, and you're recognized, Mr. Bland.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, it was in the mayor's proposed budget already. It was about half of what we'd asked for in the investment request. So we are moving forward on that assumption with fall changes that would extend our service day further, add span and frequency to several of the routes. The bigger changes are anticipated for the spring when we open the Ernest Rip Patton Jr. North Nashville Transit Center. And that contemplates extensions to the Metro Center and the Whites Creek bus to serve that facility, a new crosstown along Trinity Lane connecting that facility to East Nashville and Gallatin Pike. And then the other piece is that these additions would fund, so that those are all covered in the mayor's proposal. The additions that this would cover would be span, and when I say span, I mean the length of the service day, what time service starts and ends. So adding span and improving frequency and adding Sunday to two of our crosstown routes, the 75 Midtown and the 77 Wedgwood Thompson. So as we're kind of building out the core radial network with better frequency and better span, that makes the crosstowns more effective, and then we start to justify greater investments in that on that side of the equation.
Emily, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And if this is an inappropriate question, please cut me off. Have we looked at the cost for transit to the soccer stadium? Again, if that's...
No, it's fine. Since he's sitting here, we don't get him right in front of us very often.
Okay.
Go ahead and ask the
So
question.
I would just say, something that potentially, I don't know what a arrangement might be able to be done there, or at a minimum, adding a route there.
Yeah, the two routes pass in close proximity now, the 52 Nolensville, which is one of the core routes. In fact, we just added a shelter on the outbound side at the fairgrounds. It's a bit of a walk, but actually with the improvements the fair board has made, it's at least a walk over improved surfaces and sidewalks. And that service runs every 10 minutes. That would be in the group that's slated to run from, I think, 4:15 in the morning till 1:15 in the morning.
If I recall, when I did it, it was about between a 15 and a 20-minute walk.
Yep. And the other one is the 77, which runs along Bransford. So that's closer. It's not as often. That would be included in the package we're looking at. We're also talking to the soccer team now about potentially putting on what I'll call some regional service from a couple of our outlying counties on the RTA side to specifically address some of the game and other event activities that happen at Geodis Park.
So just to make sure I understand, so people within the city who might want to go to that have the two routes that have maybe a 10 to 15, 20-minute walk.
The 52 has that walk. The 77 on the Bransford side is quite a bit closer to Geodis Park.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Cash, you're recognized.
Thanks. I want to understand about the 77 a little better because that, to me, that's an important one because it covers, there are 3 universities on that route from TSU to Vanderbilt to Belmont. And so,
I always carry this just in case.
Are you saying that, I guess I'm asking specifically about Sundays and the frequency.
Yes. I think it's slated for 30-minute frequency on weekends. I can confirm that and get you more detailed information.
But just to be clear, so we're not making these changes that are being made aren't specifically for getting to the major event.
Right. No, that would be all the time.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Sir, I just wanted to be clear about, you were talking about the Trinity connector, which I assume would be from the 56 to the new transit center.
Right, correct.
Do you anticipate being able to accomplish that with the level of funding that was in the mayor's investment portion?
Yes. The things that we wouldn't be able to do were the improvements to the 75 and the 77 that I just mentioned.
Thank you very much. Just wanted to clarify that. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
And I just wanted to be clear on the number. So the improvements to the 75 and 77 that weren't in the mayor's proposed budget, is that the 2.8 or is it? Okay.
It's correct. Yep.
Okay.
That's the 2.8.
2.8 is needed for that. Okay. So what can you do for 1.4?
Half.
So you'd have to
That's
choose.
tough. Okay. Maybe Director Flannery can confirm my math. I don't know.
Okay.
All right, and for everybody at the table tonight, and I hope you all understand, there, Councilmember Rosenberg and then a couple of people who live out in the Bellevue area have brought this up to me, and I think it's very important. The new school is being built out in Bellevue, and we have bus service, school bus service out there, obviously till 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There is no MTA bus or WeGo bus service that runs out there. There's a bus that runs partial the way out there, but if y'all know where the new Lawson is, it's way out there. But we have a lot of students that are going to be living downtown in the downtown area that will not be able to go to after school football practice, basketball practice, drama club, band practice, anything, if we don't have some services running to that school, especially during the school year. And I know this has been brought up to Director Bland, and this is one of the issues that I think something like that really has to be done, because you can't open a brand new school and then not have the kids be able to get back home if they want to go play basketball or football or whatever it is that they have to do. So this didn't get put on the wish list, it was just brought up to me, but it's something that I think's the school opens up in August, so we've got to be able to take care of these kids that Councilmember Benedict, you recognize.
Thank you. I'm actually quite disappointed that this wasn't a part of the planning process on the MNPS side to build a school where there is transit. So I think that's just a miss that I want to call out.
And that's
Thank you.
one of the, I brought that up with Councilmember Rosenberg. He said this was something that he had mentioned back during the planning process, but for some reason it's not in the budget, and we don't have the bus running out there. So it's something to me that's very important, and I'm sure other people on the council are going to think it's very important as well. Vice Chair Gamble, you recognize.
I just wanted to ask Mr. Bland if you all have had any discussions or planning or any idea of how much that would cost.
Yeah, in fact, we submitted a proposal to MNPS, and the cost, originally what we were looking at was, and it could work off of an extension of either the number 50 Charlotte bus or the number 3 Bellevue bus. And there's pros and cons to either or, and we looked at things like school address mixes and where different neighborhoods and auto ownership characteristics and that type of thing. But either or would be, and this isn't kind of an all-day thing, because again, we have to be as public transit. If we just operate when school operates, it's considered school bus service, which we're not allowed to run. So this would be an all-the-time connection. It's in the $350,000 to $400,000 range.
Is it possible to just extend it to the school during certain hours? I know for Hunter's Lane, the 79 route does not go there all day, but during dismissal and arrival. But then that wouldn't help for after dismissal.
Yeah, originally what we looked at, I'm working with Council Member Rosenberg and MMPS, was I want to say it was, it started first thing in the morning and ran till, I want to say it was either 6 or 8 p.m. 5 days a week.
And that was my understanding with it as well. And we just want to make sure that the kids that go out there and participate in extracurricular activities have a way to get back home. A lot of these kids' parents work in the evenings or at nights, and they shouldn't have to sit there and hope somebody comes and picks them up.
And it doesn't, because of the age limitations, it doesn't help the high school kids, but for parents who need to access it, that where the school is now within one of the WeGo link zones, the partnership we have with Uber and the other providers that kind of connect our system to some of the outlying areas of the city.
Someone mentioned to me what the Uber cost is to Lawson High School. I won't tell you who that person is, but she's sitting at this table and she's laughing. It's not cheap. So,
but keeping in mind with WeGo Link, you pay the first $2 of Uber, and then we pick up the difference.
okay, so it's something maybe we can.
I believe their age restriction is over 18. So, yep.
Okay, so I hope that's something that if you see it in the budget, that y'all all understand where that's coming from. So, okay, is there any more questions of Mr. Bland while he's at the table? I think you're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on, we're here to MNPS. Obviously, we all have, I'm sorry, Councilmember Stiles, did you? Okay, Councilmember Stiles, I thought she might have she was trying to put another thing on the wish list while she, sorry. MNPS, obviously, we all know about the substitute issue and what they're trying to do to bring a lot of the substitutes in-house. Is there anybody here from MNPS that might want to speak to some of these requests? I don't see anybody here from MNPS. Anybody, these look like,
I would chair.
I had a feeling you might. Or Councilmember Toombs, you're here for the Minority Caucus. I don't know if you're speaking for Councilmember Porterfield. So either one.
The Family Liaison Program provides services for our kids that speak English as a second language and need assistance with translation services. So that's what the 1 million is for. I believe that is, and then of course also the subs, the Minority Caucus. I'll let Councilmember Toombs speak to the subs, but Women's Caucus was on Family Liaison
Okay.
and subs.
Councilmember Evans, I'll let you go first. Then.
I just wanted to ask a question. Is that expansion of a program they already have?
No, it's an
million?
existing program that hasn't been funded, like it's been kind of paltry, so this money would help it increase.
Thank you.
Councilmember Toombs, you recognize.
So MNEA has given us the $3.5 million number to increase pay for substitute teachers. I don't know what the breakdown of that number is. And so from the Minority Caucus perspective, we put forth half. So there could be some type of increase. So I also know from talking to Dr. Battle when they did their presentation, they're trying to move away from the traditional substitute teachers and use those classroom assistants. So I don't know, they will use some traditional substitute teachers next year, but how many, I'm not sure of.
Okay. Councilmember Cash, you recognize.
Yeah, I want to speak to this a little bit. So they are what Councilmember Toombs described, that they are moving to a new system where they kind of have more people that can sub and mainly do sub assigned to buildings. And when they came before us, they seemed to feel fairly confident that was going to cover it. However, I don't know that I agree in that, sometimes, in terms of sick leave and field trips and stuff, you don't know, it's not going to be the same number of absences in every building every day. You're going to have Mondays and Fridays where you're going to have more people out, right? And so they're going to need some of these folks that will maybe be at this building one day and this building another day, and they're still including the position, but the pay isn't going up for these people. And it's depending on how much education level they have, they're going to be making between $12 an hour and $16.67 an hour. And I think there are three ranges. Only one of those, the $16.67, is above 15. So even if they feel like they're moving in a different direction, they're going to have those positions. They're going to need some of those positions, and Metro is still paying them below $15 an hour. So I have concerns about that, and definitely want, and I think it will help attract more. So I'm definitely supportive of this.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Gamble, you recognize.
Thank you. Does this number cover increases in all of those three stages of position? For example, if you're moving the $12 an hour up to 15, does it also increase the other steps after that?
Are you asking me that?
Yes.
I don't
Do you
know.
know?
I think MNEA, I don't think it's part of MNPS's plan, so I don't think they've got an answer to that. Exactly.
So
I would hope so.
How can we do that equitably? I'm just wondering, does this number include those second stages? Because once you increase the lower, then if you don't want compression, you have to increase the other one.
I agree. And it's based on an educational level, high school, college.
Right.
I think the 1667 is for a college educated,
but not certified.
No, 1667 is for a certified teacher. 12 is for not a college degree, and 1450 something. So I'm not, and to be clear, I'm not saying that we only move one of them up or two of them up, but I was just kind of pointing out that we brag about having everybody above 15. Here's one that we don't, and they're hurting for them too.
Yeah, I agree. I just wondered if the number covered that. That's all.
I don't know.
And it would really be up to MMPS because we would just be giving them extra money and they would decide how that impacts the pay for substitute teachers. But I think that with at least half of the money, and with them moving towards the classroom associates, they're likely not going to need as many of the day-to-day substitute teachers. And so this should be able to allow them to increase their pay on any level to higher than what it is right now.
Councilmember Johnston, you recognize.
So I'm just kind of wondering why this wasn't in the MNPS budget if it's not part of their plan. Not that I'm saying it's not deserving or needed or any of those things. I'm just asking from the perspective of how to effectuate it. Because MNPS decides how they spend their money. So we can give them what we want to give them and have an idea of what that purpose is, but that's not necessarily what they will use it on. If they didn't have it in their plan, I'm wondering why it's not in their plan. Do they have, do they have another thought process? Like you're saying they were going to move away from the traditional substitute teacher deal and go to something that's maybe more sustainable or more, I don't know. So what I don't want to do is allocate dollars that don't get spent how we think that they should because MNPS has a grander plan. Does that,
and so,
I hope I articulated that right.
And so during their presentation, the board chair did say that even though they're not required to, they do historically, whatever the council says the money is for, that's what they spend it for. And we've given them money above their budget in the past and they've spent it as we've requested. I think that based off going back to their presentation, that really the intent of the vision of Dr. Battle is that they're using classroom associates, that they're not using traditional subs.
So then, exactly. So that's why I would question this allocation. If they obviously have a grander plan and they're going in a different direction from this traditional thing. So funding a raise for a position that may not even exist in the near future because MNPS is handling it a different way may not be the most responsible way when we're talking about obviously lots of needs, not a whole lot of places to pull it from. So that's my concern about this.
And I guess my issue would be if they're going to these classroom associates, if we give them this money, is that not the way they would want to go with that funding to hire more classroom associates? I was just talking. I don't know if that's what they would want to do. I'll probably try to get with Dr. Battle to clarify on this, kind of what she's thinking. I know there's some issues. We've had some talks about compression when you start pushing all the substitutes. When you start pushing their salary up to where those who are actual teachers, it starts forcing things in that direction. So, Councilmember Cash, you recognize.
Yeah, I get that concern. However, I do question, and I think moving in the right direction is good, and I think it will mean that more of the substitutes that are there at a school every day will be paid more, but there will be still some because they need, as I said earlier, they will need flexibility on where that substitute goes, what school are they needed at, and stuff like that. And they need that. I would think they need that flexibility, certainly on days like Mondays and Fridays, where I can guarantee you, absenteeism is way up. But I also, and so they'll have some of these. And I also want to add that what's happening a lot of times, and I don't know how the administration feels about this, is that certified teachers in the building are having to give up their planning time where they are trying to cram about 4 hours of work into 55 minutes and, take a bathroom break and stuff. If they don't have these flexible positions, then it means more of those teachers will do that. Now they'll be compensated at that 1667 rate, but they may feel pressured to do it, and they may want that time more than 1667, if that makes sense. And I fear that if we don't improve the traditional subtype to some degree, that's what's going to happen. That makes sense.
Councilmember Parker, you recognize.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. That's kind of my understanding. I've talked with some folks, some educators about this, and I think, the desire is to move, ideally all substitutes to the classroom associate program, I believe it's called. But I think that there's some folks that like to do substitute and that just aren't available for that kind of scheduling. There's going to be, say, an intense flu season that would, tick up demand. And I think that even if that classroom associate program is really, really successful in getting staffed up and serving most of the district's needs, I think that we're still going to need, as Councilman Cash said, some of these folks that work on the more flexible schedule. And, we want it to, 120 bucks a day is not a lot in Nashville in 2023. So we need folks that are willing to come do this job. And so if we can find a way to make this work, I think it would be really helpful to give some kind of boost there.
Councilmember Johnston, you're right.
I think we're getting into the weeds of starting to micromanage a department that has a school board that does that. And if they have a desire to do something and we're going to say, well, we don't agree, or we think that their needs are going to be something different and we feel this one with it, but that's their job to say. So whatever, I know you're going to reach out to Dr. Battle and the board and just make sure that, it's not our job to micromanage that kind of stuff. If they feel like this is not a need, they would have asked for it. The departments are good at saying we want this or we want that, and they didn't ask for it. So if they've got this other program that they feel is going to meet the need, I feel like that's where we should maybe leave it.
If I may just follow up briefly, Chair. There has been a formal ask from the Metropolitan Educators Association for this request specifically. So I realize that's not a departmental ask, but it is the body representing our teachers union. So there has been a formal ask for this from a stakeholder.
Thank you. Councilmember Evans, you recognize.
Thank you. I was just going to add, it's been a long time since I've been in the classroom, but kind of what Councilmember Cash was talking about, really the pressure from the principal level. And, there's a lot of the ground truth versus the director level can be vastly different, as we discussed earlier with Mac. And so I would support this if we can figure it out, because to the point that we've heard from M&EA about it, it's a concern, because as soon as your planning period is sucked away by covering somebody else's classroom, it's one reason why teachers don't feel supported. And so this is a way we can help them feel more supported.
Councilmember Benedict, you recognize.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm wondering, I can't find it in front of me right now, but I don't know if anybody remembers from the departmental hearing, the presentation that MNPS gave had a few aspirational slides on it, and I don't recall if it wasn't on there. Okay, thank you.
It's on our SharePoint, so we can all go back and take a look and see what they've got out there. And I'll give one real world example. My son, who's now 8 years old, he says some days when their teacher does not show up, they take half of their class and put them in with one teacher. They take the other half of the class and put them in with another teacher. And that's basically a lost day for all those children, because, a teacher with half of another class in there it turns into romper room, I'm sure. So that's just real world. He said that happened a couple times this year. So that does happen in metro schools. So I don't think do we have anything else with them? I'm sorry, Councilmember Evans, you recognize.
Chair, I was just going to say, since you're rolling off in August, they'll need subs if you need a job. Thank you.
You could not pay me $400 an hour. So, all right, thanks, y'all. We're going to move on down. I'll try to get with Dr. Battle and a few of the board members, and I'll also talk with M&EA and just try to kind of see exactly where we are. And I know some teachers and some principals, and I kind of like talking to teachers and principals, because they kind of give it to you without, if you know what I mean, they'll give it to you straight. So, Councilmember Toombs, you recognize.
And Chair, there is the expanded bereavement leave on here from Councilwoman Suara.
I apologize.
But
Thank you.
in discussion, Minority Caucus yesterday, she was going to remove that from her list. So
thank you for letting me know. All right, moving down to, I think we've already taken up Councilmember Allen's parks. We're on the Parks and Recreation. Councilmember Allen is already, we had the Highland Rim issue already taken care of. Councilmember Swope is not here, but he has a request in for, and it's in the take from the Parks capital budget. I think with the CIB would handle that request.
I don't know if it's in the CIB.
We'll check, but I think that would be where that needs to be discussed. We're on to neighbor. It's my understanding a lot of people have 45,000 listed for neighbor. I know there's some funding in the budget right now for neighbor. I think it's $15,000 to $20,000, and I have several requests from people that it's done good work. I guess the question I have, and it's for everybody here that's putting the request, if we have 20,000 in there for it now, what does this extra 45, what is that going to do? And since my vice chair has her hand up and looking very serious at me, I'm going to go to her first. Vice Chair Gamble, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. As you know, Neighbor to Neighbor does good work in training and education for community groups to empower them to make their quality of life better. They submitted a request to the mayor for $60,000. The additional, and the mayor granted the request for 15, which is what was allocated last year. The additional 45,000 request was to pay for additional training, but even more importantly to me is to come up with a directory, for them to develop a directory of neighborhood organizations. We do not have that currently in the Office of Neighborhoods. We've never had it. I asked for it when Carl Dean was mayor. And it is something that is a useful tool for our beautification commissioners and other community members that want to get engaged in their community organizations. There's not a place or resource that has a list of neighborhood organizations in our city. So a part of that funding will help them develop that, and then additional funding will provide additional trainings for disaster, tornado training drills, and that kind of things for neighborhood groups.
Thank you for that. Anybody else have any comments on the Neighbor to Neighbor? I know they've done good work out in my area, and they've always kept me informed on the neighborhood things that were going on. I really did appreciate that. So, seeing no other hands, we will move on to the
Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I won't take long.
Okay,
I just think this is a really great expenditure. Keep in mind, we have a mayor's office of neighborhoods that has one employee. I think, a $45,000 grant to a great organization with great reach in all parts of the city is money well spent. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other hands, moving on, the Safe Bar Program. Councilmember Evans, somehow, I guess you're always first because you're early and you submit your stuff, and so that's why you're first on this list. So would you like to explain?
I'm also going to defer to Councilwoman Stiles. Thank you.
Councilmember, how did I know that was coming? I don't know. Councilmember Stiles, you're recognized.
Well, thank you, Chair. This was the $75,000 I was mentioning earlier for the Sexual Assault Center for their Safe Bar Program. This is a program for bars and honky tonks where the bartenders could do a training, and they would be watching to see if there are signs for potential sexual assault. They have coasters where they're able to actually test drinks if they've been drugged for GHB. So they want to produce more coasters. They want to get more trainings in all of the bars. And they also received a grant to create an app so people would be able to know if a bar was a 5-star, meaning that they had gone through the training, and people, our tourists, would know this was a great place to go because it was being monitored in some way. Unfortunately, the grant didn't expand so that they could build it out, market it. So some of this funding goes to that as well.
I'm sorry to be not knowledgeable about this program. So does Director Flannery or Ms. Wilson, do y'all know, is this currently being funded, or is this a new program? Or I see you walking up and down Second all the time. I never know when you're stopping in. You might be. Kristen, do you know anything about this program? Or sounds like a good program, but I just want to make sure it's something that's up and running. We're just not going to fund something and then it take 6 months to a year to find out that.
If you'll let me answer, I can.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like currently being funded.
It is already in several bars. They want to expand it to more, to offer the training and expand it.
Okay, but when you say.
And get more coasters.
When you say it's being done by several bars.
Not by Metro. This is the first request they've made of us.
And do they have she looks like she wants to talk, Ms. Wilson.
I just wanted to have a question as to which department. So all of these nonprofits, right, you all recognize when we do these, there's a contract that gets done, and those contracts have requirements in them of services to be delivered. So I just want to make sure that we assign these to the right places. The ones in the admin sections all have owners somewhere from a legacy perspective. Did you have a thought as to what department would?
I think when we discussed this was going under the nonprofits. I think both of you were at that meeting. we had for
But
Women's
even when it's in
Caucus.
the admin section, we make sure, because somebody has to administer that contract and make sure those services are being delivered.
Yeah, we just can't send
Okay.
Tootsie 75 grand and hope for the best.
Metro, okay, well, all right, well, we can follow up and see if we can put it under Metro Health.
Okay, yeah, I'll get with y'all and we'll see what we can.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. All right, the next item on the list is as long as I'm not skipping over anything, please let me know if I am, is the Sister Cities program. Obviously, we've been involved in that for quite a while. What is the current budget of the Sister Cities, Ms. Wilson? Do you know what that is?
It's $70,000, and I think
70.
it was flat from last year at the same amount.
Okay, so I'm assuming that this is an ask for an additional 25? Okay, so it's my understanding this is an ask for additional 25 to Sister Cities, and so I'll,
Chair, if I may.
sure.
The additional 25,000 is going to go to help with students that are unable currently to go on these student exchanges. So we recently had a delegation of students that were going to Mendoza. And last year, one of my Cane Ridge students was able to go, but it was really difficult for them to do fundraising, and Sister Cities didn't have enough funding. So this 25,000 is going to help students that don't have access personally.
And Ms. Wilson, as far as Sister Cities right now, so the 70,000 that's in the budget right now, that's for all the transportation, for anything that we do as far as hosting, or is that just for visiting another city or country?
I would think of it as sort of an intergovernmental affair budget. So again, we've tried very hard to keep our nonprofits to be sort of extensions of missions that we have. So within the mayor's office in particular, that responsibility has been more about the international affairs relationship. So they will arrange meetings for us, whether there's a virtual or not. They will arrange, I know we just had a trip to Erbil, Iraq, that was arranged. And so that's more where our use has been with them, has been more in the, I would say, diplomatic realm of or the relationship for the metro government and for Nashville and Davidson County as a city with these other cities.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Did you have anything else?
I actually was going to ask Ms. Wilson a question, if I may.
Sure.
So with the students that are traveling, and that this, to me, seems that it could still qualify because these are children that potentially want to get involved in diplomacy and getting involved in government. Could not this additional 25,000 fall under that umbrella? Does it have to fall under something else?
I don't, I'll just need to bring it back to, it's Ginger Hauser who's been administering that contract. I don't know the answer to that, but,
Okay.
But I do, overall, we do things with youth. And so there's certainly a possibility there.
Oh, Vice Chair Gamble, you recognize.
Thank you. I wonder if Councilmember Stiles or Ms. Wilson can answer if Sister Cities has a grant program for students to participate. And if so, if this would go into that. Do you know if they have a grant program already for students?
So they've been taking what they have. It's not dedicated for students, which is why last year's that one student was difficult to kind of cobble it together. That's why they're asking for this additional funding, because now they could perhaps put some more in there. And this is not in perpetuity. And that's a conversation that I had with them, that if we did this year, that the onus be on them for the future to try and raise this, but for us to get it started.
Would it
hopefully.
be designated only for Nashville, Davidson County students? So if we gave this money to Sister City for grants, could it be designated only for our students, or would it be for anyone who's interested?
Qualify, because it has to be equitable.
Councilmember Johnson, could you speak into your microphone? Thanks.
Or I messed you up. You did it on me automatically. I was just saying, if you're going to create a grant fund, then that grant fund needs to be administered. It needs to be application based and not just like, oh, well, we feel sorry for little Johnny because he can't afford. I mean, that's just not how that works. So, I mean, I'm just trying to wonder what the best way to effectuate. I mean, I get it. I want to support, but then when you think about the nuts and bolts of it, like how to Kristen's point of like, who's supposed to be doing that and who's going to manage that and to give it to the organization as a whole, Sister Cities, which isn't just Davidson County. Is there a better place to put it, or is this something that should be relegated to other community organizations to fund and maybe not the government. I'm just asking for a friend.
I think I understand your questions. Given the existing relationship, I think that's why the request was made, that potentially this was an area in which we could further assist. And I think I want to ask Ginger, to your point, how would this work if we get this additional 25,000? But if we can do it, we get parameters, so be it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. How's
I
everybody
didn't
doing?
feel sincere.
I'm trying to hang in there. All right. On to the next item on the list. It's the TJC. Do we currently have a contract with the TJC? Through any department?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. I see that we have a few folks that brought this forward. Councilmember Toombs, did you?
And that's coming from the public hearing, the request from the Tennessee Justice Center for additional funds to help with the residents of Napier-Suticum with the eligibility process for Medicaid.
And do they just not have, I guess when they're asking for the residents, do they not have, is the Medicaid agency, or they're not providing the, Teen Care not providing the services that they need to get people signed up, or do they not know where to go, or what's?
Yeah. He's antsy over here, so I'm gonna.
Councilmember Cash, if you're antsy, I will let you go.
I'm not going to give a great 100% answer here, but I mean, I think there was something that happened at the state level that it's now going to be harder for folks on Medicaid to get what they need. And were previously, there's a change. So there's something that they were previously had better access to, or there was money
And
for.
the reason I'm bringing this up is that I'm just going to go on and say it. I worked for Teen Care a long time. The TJC is in the business of getting into it with Teen Care over eligibility. I don't know that I want to fund lawsuits. Metro getting into lawsuits with Teen Care. That's just. And that, I don't know if that's the issue.
My
but that's-
understanding that it was helping with the process, the eligibility process, not suing.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say TJC, they usually are suing over eligibility. So this is kind of this is where I'm coming from. So I'll have to look more. I just want to look into this and see what they're wanting this money for.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where my questions are coming from. So I know there might have been some folks that didn't feel like they received Medicaid, which happens a lot. And then you have administrative law judges, and you have hearings for those people to go to. And so that's funded by the state. So if they need more outreach as to where they're, I know they get all the Teen Care. If you apply for Teen Care and you don't get
I don't
Teen
think
Care,
you don't get legal representation.
no. But they send you information on how you can appeal the decision. And I mean, if that's, I guess that's my question. Are we trying to provide attorneys for them to do the administrative law?
Clarification would be helpful. I mean, I doubt the average person knows how to work through an administrative process on their own without having some legal assistance, because those processes can be complicated. So I think getting the clarification would be helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I was,
I'm sorry.
no, and that's the thing. I mean, they've asked for the money, but I kind of would like to know what department this would run through, who the contract's with, and what are they going to be doing. So that's kind of where I'm at on this. So one of the few things that I have knowledge about is this. So I'm just trying to ask the questions that I can ask. So, and I appreciate it. Councilmember Johnson, you recognize.
So I wasn't able to be at the meeting on Tuesday. I watched as much as I could, given the circumstances. But so who made this request? Was it the Justice Center themselves, or is it people that take advantage of the services at the Justice Center, like identifying a need? Or the Justice Center themselves said, we need this?
I believe
'Cause
there
I'm
was
wondering-
someone from the Tennessee Justice Center that spoke.
Okay, because I'm just wondering if we don't have a contract or really a relationship with the Justice Center, I'm wondering if this is a better ask of the state. I mean, if Teen Care, to me, they should have, Teen Care should have someone on staff that's helping people to do that. I mean, why are we going to why is it Metro's responsibility to facilitate a state-run program? I'm not saying it's not
It's
a need. I
helping
know that
people
it's a
who are
need.
in a public housing development who live in Nashville, so
I get that.
Yeah.
I think it's,
who don't have access to resources otherwise.
yeah, which I think TennCare should handle. I mean, TennCare needs,
But they
anyway.
don't.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm just saying their budget is 5 times larger than our entire budget is. I know it's 15 billion right now, so they need to be providing services to the people who are applying, and if they can't get them, they need to be helping them figure out why. That's just my thoughts on that. So.
If I could, on that point,
Sure.
I think there's a lot of things they should be doing and could be doing with their money, but since that's not making it and there's a need here, I think that it's up to us to try to bridge that gap if we're able to, which is why I think I'm supportive of it on the wish list, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cash, did you have another question?
I just wanted to add, I know Councilmember Allen does know more details about this and has spoken with the executive director, and is the first name on here. So I think checking with Justice Center themselves and checking with Councilmember Allen, who always is fair about.
No, I'll check. I mean, obviously, there has to be an issue that has come up that's, the reason for the request. I'm just trying to get to, what in what department and how this is going to be contracted and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate that. All right. And then the last item on our list is the village at Glencliff. There's several on here. I know Councilmember Toombs, could somebody explain to me what the village at Glencliff is? I just don't know, and it would help if I could understand what it is and kind of if we're funding this in another area. And these are just questions I have. So thank you, Councilmember Toombs.
So my understanding is that this is the second phase of their construction of their tiny home village, tiny home community. Says they also, part of what the villages at Glencliff does, they provide medical respite for the unhoused. If people are unhoused and they are hospitalized, they go to the villages to heal until they are permanently housed. For example, if they're released from Metro General, they can heal at the villages until they're housed. It saves money, so they don't have to go back to the hospital because they haven't healed properly.
Ms. Wilson, do you have any, do we have any services like that currently being?
Our new Office of Homelessness has some grant funding in it. There's a $750,000 community partnership fund, I believe, and then another $500K for housing and support services grants, and then some technical assistance money as well. I just wonder if some of that could qualify. And then they're also still working through, and I'm not close to where they've spent down. I know they just provided an update to council on the 50 million ARPA funds. So they've been granting out pretty thoroughly that funding. I'm just wondering if maybe we can, and I think we can get you an answer in short order, but maybe we could ask April Calvin whether or not this project is eligible, because it'd be faster, to be honest, if some of it's in the grant cycles right now.
So this would fall under that grant process?
I don't know for sure, but we can certainly, if you want to, or if you want me to ask April, or, yes, Councilmember Evans, because you said the HBC, you may have a good.
I was just thinking that, based on what we agreed for the direction of the, $50 million, I don't know if it would qualify. And so kind of asking April and her perspective, because just thinking about how we have allocated or directionally money and what it's supposed to support, it might be out of the scope, but anyway, that's just kind of my 2 cents.
And I just need to get some answers on that before, I don't want to put something in the budget and then come to find out that it can't be used, or that it's just, we have something else that's going toward it. Director Flannery, do you have a?
Yeah, I don't know much. No, I don't know anything about this one, but just having heard what I heard, it doesn't feel like it would be exempt from some sort of procurement, like the service that this provides, that this would be the only place that could provide it. So I think we got to do a little homework on what it actually is as well. Because I'm not sure we could just pick them.
And I was just curious about that. It seemed like we were just picking out one business just to send money to, and I mean, I'm sure there's a contraction, procurement process.
Yeah, I think like sister cities, like those ones, all have a really, they're unique, they're special, but that one didn't.
I doubt there are many, if any, other places that provide medical respite for the unhoused.
So I don't know how many there. I'm not sure either. So You know who I go to when I have questions on homelessness? I'm just gonna be honest with you. I go to my District 12 council person. Councilmember Evans, you're
No, I just
recognized.
actually had a question, and I wonder if Councilwoman Toombs knows, because we're talking about this, because I've been over there before, but is it adding more houses to the village as it is today to expand that way, or is it different kinds of services, or both?
It may be a combination of both. My understanding is that it was phase 2, whatever phase 2 is.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't have details beyond that.
And Ms. Wilson, did we fund anything on
Well, we
phase
can get
1
it.
of this, or do we know? Okay, I was just curious. I don't know. This is just the first,
And-
I saw it on the list. It's the first time I've heard of this, so I'm
And
just
Chair,
trying to.
I can get some additional information and make
Okay.
sure that's shared with you.
Okay, so just to let everybody know that's around the table, I'm coming to you, Councilmember Johnston. Everybody that's around the table, I'm going to be working on this over the weekend, and then on Monday, by Monday afternoon late, I'm going to be giving, I know the Wednesday is the deadline, but I'm going to be handing this off to council and everyone to get the stuff together by Tuesday. So that's kind of where I just want everybody to know where I am, so y'all know where the deadline is, because once I submit it on late Monday or early Tuesday, it's gone from my hands, so I just want to let y'all know, so.
Just because I sit on both the COVID-19 Financial Oversight Committee and the Homeless Oversight Committee for the ARPA funds, if it's services, if services is part of this $500,000, there are, I believe, some leftover actually, did we move those? But there were some leftover funds for the expansion of services. But if it's a capital request to actually build an asset, that would fall not with April and her group. It would be probably more just an ARPA request, like one time, whatever. And I do think that the committee, I know that the committee has said, we've allocated $50 million to homelessness. We feel like we've checked that box. But not to say that it's not worth the question, because it's a relatively sort of small amount based off of some other requests. I mean, it's worth the question, but I also, it'd be interesting to know, where did they get the money for phase 1?
Any other questions on that issue? All right. This was the last item, and Director Flannery is raising her hand. Did you need to go back to the bar issue, or were you? No, I'm sorry. I'm just
always
messing.
need to go back to the bar, but
I'm just messing. Director Flannery, recognized.
no, I just want to hopefully end how we began, even with the repetitive nature. Once you kind of cross everybody out that's duplicated, the proposed funding sources don't support anywhere close to this. So when you look at judgments, that entire fund is only $7.5 million. That is a 1% COLA. The 4% right now, you maybe could take 8 million, but that brings you back all the way down to 4. You've spent the last 4 years of this administration and your term building that up to 4.5, 4.6, I think, this year. So just those two things alone, if you decimated them, wouldn't cover the 2% that you're hoping for a COLA, and that's before everything else. And so I just need you to manage expectations or come up with some more surgical solutions, because the things on this page can't be spent more than once.
And everybody has given me advice over the last few weeks. If y'all didn't, and look, everybody's got hands raised. I bet they got advice right now. I bet they're going to give me advice on where this money needs to come from. Councilmember Johnston, you recognize.
I just wanted to see, when I'm looking at this, the surplus and sort of how we come up with that number, which is quite large. We're obviously 9 figures into that. And so I'm just wondering, of those 9 figures, what of that revenue, why it's considered not recurring. To have $125 million in a surplus is, I super understand, conservative estimates, especially coming through the pandemic and all of that. It was totally appropriate, but this is the second year in a row that we've had these really large misses. To me, to have 50-60 million of a little lanyap from Louisiana, lanyap, but 125 is a lot, and if we could revisit that possibly to see, is there another 5-10 million to get that surplus down to 105, 100, that, because there are, some of these things but there's a lot of stuff in here that's really, I think, important. And I hate our budget process where we're always in the situation of we either raise taxes, which nobody wants to do, or we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like some department, some program, something has to do without so that this other thing can happen. And we have to be the ones that decide who gets what and who gets taken from. It's a really crappy process. And so back, can we,
No.
Okay.
Just as a reminder, so the surplus isn't real until all dollars are in.
Right.
And everything's been accounted for, audit has been done. So that's December. So these dollars wouldn't be available to put in operating budget on July 1, 2023. And in addition, as we realized in this last year that revenues were exceeding, we've been spending it. We've been bringing supplementals through. So a lot of this is really carryover, both in revenues beyond expenses in 2022, as well as not expending. Remember, we had trouble spending money, right? Supply chain issues, hiring issues. So a lot of that came from savings. It's not been, we blew revenue estimates because we have done much better, but it's a combination of both of those things.
Yeah, okay.
Councilmember Toombs, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. So the Minority Caucus wish list that was submitted does have funding sources to match what the requests are. What I looked at largely, particularly looking at trying to fund the COLA, and we landed at a 2% COLA with an additional 0.5% bonus coming out of the surplus. But to fund the 2%, we largely looked at unfilled positions. So if you look at the budget accountability report, and I know a new one is coming out this week.
Came out like 3 hours ago.
3
Sorry,
hours
I forgot
ago.
to forward it to you. I'm sorry.
You said you were going to tell me.
That gentleman right there, Ted Hartledge, sent it to me, and I totally forgot to send it to you. I'm sorry. It happened.
So the numbers may be higher or lower, but there are multiple departments that are well under budget due to unfilled FTEs. And so if you have a department that's providing a certain level of service today, and they have 50 vacancies, that level of service is not going to change if those vacancies are reduced to 25. Service goes down when the vacancies increase, not when they decrease. And a lot of those departments also received a significant amount of money in the mayor's proposed budget to expand services and do other things, which they can still do if they're willing to reduce the number of vacancies. Of course, we can't tell department heads how to run their departments. We just give them the money and they figure out their budget. But if we have money just sitting for fictitious people that don't exist, and we can repurpose those funds and pay the people that do exist, I think that's a better use of the money.
Director Flannery.
So, I don't know if it's going to make sense, but I'm going to try it anyway. When we value the pay plan at 7.8 on 1%, that is solely on filled positions. So we don't take into account those vacant positions and what that would cost. So some of that methodology would be the kind of double counting in that space. And I guess if the approach is to go for positions as a department director, it's easier to miss something I never had than something I currently have. So if that's the approach, I guess my recommendation would be for those new positions that you're contemplating that have been included in the budget, where applicable, that is an easier assessment than having to go through and reduce positions that we already identified the need for, that we requested as departments, for several years. And again, just speaking for my department and department directors that we heard over the last, 3 weeks, we are experiencing, thanks to the work that was done last year of recategorizing and looking at positions and accelerating them into the correct titles, and the pay plan that's been done over the last 2 years, we're starting to fill positions. So while they might look empty, they are very close to being filled. It is a long process, Every government I've ever worked for, it takes forever to hire somebody, and it's no different. But just because they look vacant doesn't mean they're not important or that they're not actively being recruited.
And I understand that. I'm a manager in a government agency as well, and we deal with the same issues. But I think that a lot of departments, they're sitting on a lot of vacancies that have been vacant for a long time. And if we're in a position where we can help current employees now, I think we should really look at that. I know that Metro government has operated from a place of scarcity because we have cut departments significantly in the past, but I think that we've done a lot of work to right our financial ship. And so that we're in a good financial place. And I feel like as the need arises, that we can staff back up. But just to sit on these vacancies and you have millions of dollars that just go back into the general fund at the end of the fiscal year, I think that money is better used in other ways.
Councilmember Johnson, and then I'll come to Vice Chair Gamble.
Thank you. So I just wanted to let everyone know sort of what I did from this perspective that Councilmember Toombs is the path she's going down. So I requested what are the departments this year and last year that had an operational budget increase that also have more than 10% of vacancies, because we talked about this more last year with Parks, who obviously has a lot, and that's a little bit of a different department with the seasonal and temporary employees. But I think there was an appetite to say, look, why are we going to pigeonhole these dollars to sit there just to come back to the general fund next year because the positions are not getting filled for whatever reason, when this money can be used to benefit every other employee. So in a way, it sort of comes back there. I think one of the reasons we have many of these issues is that we've got a morale problem with our employees, and it's well earned because historically we have just balanced our budget by freezing steps and not doing the COLA the way that it should or whatever it is. And so they feel that, and these are the people that make this city work. And so from a morale perspective, you're going to get a lot more out of an employee that feels valued. And so you're also going to retain that employee. You'll be able to recruit better, but there's recruiting, but then there's also taking care of the people that we already have. And we have new employees. We have employees that have been here for 20 plus years. And it's across the board. They don't feel valued. They feel lied to in a lot of ways. I know we're looking at our pay plan, and we've got this $1 million study, and hopefully it'll be the panacea of whatever, but it's really, really important, I think, that the city is doing amazingly. We are exceeding revenue projections, clearly. We've got a ton of growth. We're in demand. I mean, people are moving here by the droves, and we need to take care of the people that make this city run day in and day out. There's not a problem in this city that we get a call from, I've said this before, that we solve. I don't solve anything. Councilmember Benedict doesn't solve anything. I'm sorry. You're just in my line of sight. We call a Metro employee to solve all the problems that are presented to us. And so it's time that we really get our priorities straight and take care of these folks, because we can say, oh, well, we think we're doing a pretty good job with this, with the merit and with the COLA that is literally less than half right now of what inflation actually is. But when you look historically back, we are way behind the 8 ball because of frozen steps and recategorizations and, COLA that, you can look at the last 10 years and, we're on par with COLA. Well, why don't you pull the last 12 or 14 years and you're way off because COLA was nothing for 3 or 4 years straight. So don't give me an arbitrary number of, for the past 10 years, because that just works for a person that was hired 10 years ago. That's the only time that works. It's really important to me. We ask a lot of our employees, and I just don't know any other better place to spend our money and invest is in the people that work for this city, period.
Councilmember Johnston, Councilmember Stiles, you had an issue? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no. You better stop. When my vice chair says I was next, you know what that means? It means she was next. It doesn't matter who else got their hand up. Vice chair is next.
I want to speak to this before we get off this topic.
Vice Chair Gamble, you reckon it?
Thank you, Chair. While I agree we do need to find the money and find a way to increase the COLA, I would caution against rating existing positions because a lot of our departments don't have enough people to accommodate the service that we need for the city of our size. And so instead of looking at cutting, I know that there have been issues with filling some of these vacant positions, but those positions are needed. I mean, some departments, we have 30 people where we need 60 people. So I would caution against rating positions, existing positions, and maybe look more at new positions. I think this budget request has 303 new positions. And so perhaps we can look at new positions as opposed to rating a lot of vacant positions. Maybe raise some or look at some vacant positions that we might be able to take funding from, because I do agree we need to look at increasing that COLA to be more equitable with what the inflation is. However, we also, we're a growing city and we currently don't have enough people in positions at water, at parks, at other, in departments that we need to service our city efficiently.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Councilmember Johnson wanted to make one clarification. I'll let her say that quickly.
So, yeah, sorry. So when we take money from a department, we can have in our mind where that money is going to come from, but the director actually makes that decision. So I doubt they're going to cut existing positions. They would probably cut new positions, but it's up to them to find what, if we're taking $1 million from waste services so that their budgetary increase for this year goes from whatever it was, 7 million to 6 million, they have to figure that out on their own. We can't, right? Chris?
I just wanted to say they do have to figure it out in their own in managing a budget, but I want to remind you all that in many ways, when they have vacancies, they will rely on contract services to fill those needs. So I tried to go down this logic path a little bit with Councilmember Van Rees with the Arts Commission. If you recall, she has a proposal in front of you all to take, at one point in time, they had a 40% vacancy rate when we were speaking with them in the budget hearing. And so she had proposed just taking the funding that they had from their vacancies, from salary savings, and putting that forward into their grant process. Seems very, very simple. I like the idea too, because I know that those even very small grants in that space can make a very big difference for the process that they have. They don't have those salary savings. Those salary savings have all gone to contract work and contractors. And so I think you have to be very, and I know we've been careful, but we have to be very situational specific in each of these departments. Codes looks like it has a lot of vacancies in it, but actually if you look, they had gotten permission for some positions that are unfunded, and we're funding them in the budget today. So there's the proposed budget, rather, that's in front of you. So if you actually look at the Code's budget book and you look at the funding that they have as a line item, there is additional dollars for headcount. There's not actually positions, and that's because they have a good number of unfunded, I want to say it's 15 or 16 unfunded positions. Those appear as vacancies today, and we're filling those out. Just different departments are in these very different situations, and I think you have to be quite careful about assuming one thing about them when taking money out from them may occur in a different way. Now, I'm not saying that's true for everybody. There are situations where we are putting money back in at the end of the year into fund balance because it's been unspent. And that bothers me just as much as anybody else, because that represents commitments we made to the public on services that didn't get delivered. But I do want to be very clear, it's not quite so easy to just look at the vacancy numbers. I tried, and to just assume you can repurpose that or make cuts there.
Councilmember Stiles.
Thank you very much, Chair. As we're talking about cutting positions, I wanted to make a correction because here on the wish list, the position for the FTE for the Office of Music, Film, and Entertainment, that was actually also a minority caucus request. I see Toombs and Porterfield, but I don't see minority caucus listed also as a request. So I just wanted to clarify that. It's not just the three of us.
All right. Councilmember Evans, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just wanted to go back to what Ms. Wilson was talking about. So how do you, as budget chair, know what departments have real vacancies, what departments have used contract labor, and kind of between those two, what departments really are kind of hoarding positions because they don't want to go back through and have to request later when they have like a more viable pay range or, whatever it is that's holding back actually hiring people. How do you know that?
How do I know?
How will you learn that?
How will I? The only way I can learn is through asking the finance department what departments do they feel like we can actually take money from, because I can't go and sit in departments every day and see where the employees are, whether they don't have employees. That's not what I do. And so the finance department is the one who, and we kind of know what departments we feel like are short-staffed. We always we all kind of know what departments are kind of, when we make a phone call and they don't have somebody can come out or things like that. We kind of know that. We know where other departments have numbers. But for me to just start lopping off, FTEs by the, 20, 30, 40, that would not be responsible on my part. That's just.
Sure.
I mean, I just couldn't do that, so.
So, and the reason why I'm asking is because I'm, wasn't on budget, so I have not been to very many of these meetings. So so I wanted clarification for myself, but then also as, we're talking about these positions that are unfilled, because I think that's a very valid concern. I think it feels like departments probably need to communicate that differently to us as we look to the future.
And I've had conversations with probably 5 or 6 departments. You have conversations with the director. Rarely is the director going to say that those unfilled positions are not needed.
Right.
I mean, because they ask for those positions. So it's one of those where you have to kind of read through the tea leaves a little bit. I mean,
But if it's like a chronic issue with the same positions over time,
Right,
there's a
that's-
problem with the position, what the pay is,
that's correct.
the hiring process, that kind of thing.
There's some positions that are just, the pay is so low, people don't want to do it, and those are the ones that you kind of have to say, okay, do they need the pay raised, or is the director asking for enough from finance? These are all
Right.
questions that, I can't fix it myself, obviously, I'm just one person, so you always have to rely on
Right,
staff.
thank
so.
you.
Councilmember Toombs, and then I'll let Director Flannery, she looked like she was going to say
I was
something.
going to respond to your,
Director Flannery, can you respond to
your
this?
mandate that finance was going to give you that magic answer. And
I know you're not magic.
but we believe we need all of them. That's why we put them in the budget for you to approve. And I couldn't possibly be the arbiter for every department on what their need is. I just want to manage expectations that there won't ever be a world where I can provide you a list of these are the recommended vacancies that you should. I just can't be in that place.
My issue, if I can say it without, I don't want to put any departments on the spot, but obviously I think you guys know when there's departments that have asked for positions that are wishful, ask that this is maybe a new section of our department we would like. They don't, maybe not necessarily need it this upcoming year. Y'all would know that better than I would know that. So if there are new positions that we were looking at removing from the budget, I think y'all would have a better idea of what departments could handle those positions being removed more than I could. You are closer to those departments than I am, obviously.
And the other thing that we introduced two budgets, last budget, was when we're building a budget, we now go through this budget equity lens, right? And so if we're contemplating taking things out, I don't know how to do that in reverse. And I don't know how we would be sure we're making equitable cuts in vacancies that way. I don't know what that looks like.
I understand. Councilmember Toombs, you recognize.
Thank you, Chair. So you're not cutting FTEs. So no one but a department head could say, well, there are 80 unfilled vacancies, we're going to cut 40 of them. What it looks like, and Councilwoman Johnston said this, is that we give them $1 million less. Department A gets $1 million less. And department head has to decide what his or her budget looks like minus that $1 million. And I hear the need for positions, and I know that people will always say that they need the positions because they don't want to lose it because they feel like it's going to be hard to get it back. But when I look at budget accountability report, which shows what you're actually spending, and you've got $5 million just sitting there because of unfilled positions, that's money set aside for salaries, and I know that's just going to go back into the general fund, and we have employees who are saying we need to make more money, inflation is killing us, our paychecks are actually, in actuality, less because expenses are so much higher. Again, I want to reiterate that is a better use of that money. I'm not saying go and take all of the unfilled positions. That's crazy. You want to be able to staff up when you find qualified people. But a lot of that money could be better served taking care of the employees that are in the seats now so that they can afford to live here and don't have to keep coming to the public hearings and telling us, how much they're suffering.
Thank you, Councilmember Toombs. Councilmember Cash, you recognize.
Thanks. I want to agree with what Councilmember Toombs and Councilmember Johnson have been saying. And I get, especially as we've gone along, I get the complexities of this. But, and in some cases, I get that contract labor, the money's being used for contract labor. But in some cases, I would assume that there are employees who are picking up the slack for unfilled positions, right? And they need to be rewarded for that. And I'm thankful for Councilmember Mendez introducing the amendment that he did to the budget ordinance that, because as it is now, if we have money left over, partly because of unfilled positions, we now have policy that basically says we have to spend it on stuff, right? And not on people. And so I'm thankful that he introduced that amendment, as I understand it.
Let Director Flannery jumped quick, so I want to let her respond to that real quick.
Don't ever want to live in a space where I'm trying to speak for anyone, especially Councilmember Mendez. But I think the change that he proposed was, instead of it being specific to one-time capital, that it was one-time anything. But I think that his expectation is still one time.
No, I understand that.
Okay,
but
so that wouldn't be salaries.
But I get the one-time part, but it could be bonus. But yes, it could be a bonus.
Yeah, I did want to talk about that a little bit.
We're having some end of the year money because there were unfilled positions. There was extra money that should have gone to people in their salaries, but the positions were unfilled. But now, as it is now, we have to spend it on things, but we could change. It looks like we have an option to change it. So at least we can't add it to future salaries, but we could give at least money to people.
As much as I want to go home, I do want to actually talk about this for a second. With the one-time bonus, with the change that would be allowable, I guess administratively, I did have some questions for folks to think about because this money is not real until, let's just call it January 1, because that's easier. When you're talking about 0.5% one-time, 0.5% value of a COLA, I guess, one time, here's what my brain's struggling with. So for those people that are on steps that, maybe their service date is any one of those months between January and December, on 1/1, are we calculating it from that period of time and then going forward? It's just a lot of math, and I don't think we have the administrative capability to kind of do it on a percentage basis like that. And it's kind of a de minimis amount to do that much work. Like, is the juice really worth the squeeze? Is maybe a flat amount a better approach? And I have no idea what that number should look like or how it should be determined. Like, maybe it's bands of salaries. If you make between this and this, it's this amount. Just something to think about. Is there a better way to do it? Go.
Councilmember Johnston has her hand raised, and she looks like she's about to explode. So,
I'm not going to explode. I'm thinking I don't think it's hard to say, okay, 1% of COLA is $7.8 million, and we know what that would be for each of these people. So if we,
different on 1/1.
I understand that. So calculate it now, and that's the number. Because if we were able to give that today, that's what the number would be today. So we're just delaying it because we have to verify that the surplus is what it is. So to me, we're making it a little bit more difficult. Saying a flat amount for everyone, that's not equitable, because $500, say it's $500 or whatever arbitrary number we would decide, $500 for somebody that makes, $45,000 a year is different to somebody that makes $65,000 a year. I mean, so, and how do you put that in your brain, how that's fair? So you want to be fair, and I think the only way to do it is to do the percentage, and I would just do it, effective, whatever it would be July 1st, that's what it's going to be.
In January 1, are you paying them for July through December and January through June? What if they leave before then? See, I don't know, it's like.
But
It's a good bad problem, but I don't know how to fix it.
So that's a good question, because if somebody was to turn around and quit the next day after they get their bonus for the whole year, which we're not talking about a bunch of money, y'all, when we think about it, you know, somebody that's making $50,000, 1% is $500. I mean, it's not life-changing, but it is helpful.
I mean, they would just have the money. Like, if I get a bonus at my job now and the next day is my last day, thank you for my bonus. Like,
Yeah, that's why I guess it's a little bit of,
I don't think that should be a
linguistics, like,
hindrance
let's
to
not call it
people.
a 0.5% of COLA, let's just call it a bonus.
yeah.
Something, but, and maybe try not to be so technical about, I don't know what it looks like, but
Yeah,
something.
I like the idea of a flat rate. We have a flat rate sales tax. It's regressive for some people. It's fine for other people. $500 is $500. You know, I don't care if you're making $100,000 a year, if you're making $30,000 a year, $500 can be life-changing for somebody. It can be, especially for our folks that are making $15, $18 an hour. You know, they're making less than $40,000 a year. $500 one time could pay their tax bill, right? So to me, I think a flat amount payable on X date, you have to be employed by then. Maybe we have a great sucking sound if it's paid on January 1 and January 2, people have just been waiting for that $500. Maybe so. Probably most people are going to leave a job based on the needs and that they have. They're not going to be waiting around for, you know, even again, if it's if $500. And I think that that's probably a reasonable number. And that way, it's, you know, when we have COLA increases, if you're making $100,000 and you get a 3% raise, you're already getting significantly more than somebody making $50,000 getting a 3% raise. I think it's much more equitable to say, here's the dollar amount, boom, it's payable on this date. I think, to me, maybe it's regressive for some, but it's progressive for others.
Also need to keep in mind that just when you're talking about the impact on the employee, bonuses are taxed different typically. And it's significant. There's ways around it, but I don't know how we handle the taxing of that. But I just remember when I had my 9-to-5 job and I was like, woo, I'm getting a bonus. And I saw my check and I was like, the government got a bonus, not me. It went to, you know, taxes. So we need to think about that too. When you call it a bonus, it's a whole different thing.
We did this for schools just in this last budget. We did the one-time bonus. Let me go back. I just wanted to see if it was even a concept you wanted to entertain, but we actually did think about that and I can't remember how we got there, but if it's something you're interested in, I'll get you.
Well, I think if we're going to entertain the bonus thing, we do need to take that, because why are we going to spend a bunch of money just to give it to the federal government? That doesn't make any sense. So if you found a way to get around it, because I researched it a little bit before.
I didn't find a way around the IRS.
But there's a way to classify it anyway. If we can do it where it's impactful, then great. If not, then we need to figure something else out so that the money that we're spending does go to
and
the
maybe
employee.
the number is not 3.9, it's a number larger, but let's entertain that idea. Okay.
Councilmember Evans, you're
Yeah, I was just going to kind of add to that. Did you do was it a net bonus amount that was, you know, taxed at everybody's individual rate and everybody ended up with the same amount?
What was different was last year when you guys made the donation, the contribution to the subsidy for schools, we didn't put out a number. It just, because they hadn't defined what support staff was, so we were able to kind of do it backwards. So we never threw out 500, you actually only got 200. Like, we were able to give a number net of everything, the taxes, but I can't remember what it was. But I will get the payroll team on it.
Vice Chair Gamble, if no one else has any questions, she's always going to finish up for
Hopefully
me.
I can just wrap it up. I appreciate all of the discussion, but I think Councilmember Toombs hit it on the head when she says the point is, if we're going to reduce any amount of funding from any department or every department to accommodate the increase in the COLA, then we do just that. And then those department heads figure out how that deduction impacts their department, whether it's through vacancies or whatever it is. But our job, I guess, would be just to make the request to reduce the allocation by whatever amount, and that's it.
Yeah, and you know, just my thought, I always like to tell everybody what I'm thinking is that I want to give, I want to keep the present employees happy, because I find that when you lose employees in government, the time it takes to retrain and to bring them back in it costs you a whole lot more money. Your services go way down. The citizens of your city say, what the heck is going on at that department? Because you've got turnover and you don't have happy employees. So that's just my thought. I mean, I worked in government a long time, and you're a lot better off working beside someone who's been there for a couple of years than you are always looking next to you and finding it's somebody new sitting next to you. So that's just, or nobody sitting next to you. Yeah. So that's my thought. Now, the director of finance never has to look beside her to see that no one's there, but I hope not. Hey, she sits by herself. That's right. That's what I was. So. And y'all, obviously the substitute budget will come out before. Do we have another meeting before the substitute comes out? I don't think we do. Do we have one on Monday? I don't know what we. Well, I guess I need to talk to. Okay, well, it seems that way. I will talk to everyone we have still 5 people here that are on the Budget and Finance Committee. And do we have a
Yes, Monday at 4:30.
okay.
Work session 5.
So what are y'all's thoughts about, one, are you going to be here on Monday? And then 2, what would y'all like to discuss on Monday if you are here? Me and the vice chair, I think, will be here and we'll be looking at each other, but I don't know what y'all would like to discuss on Monday.
Will your draft be ready by then?
God, I hope so. But the thing, but putting a draft, I'd prefer not to put the draft out. I'd rather just be, put out on Wednesday but I'd like to hear from y'all I would like to be able to come in and have discussions on what I'm thinking about.
Okay.
And, not necessarily give you the draft, but kind of go over what I'm thinking and say, this is where I think I'm going to take the money from, and watch their eyes roll back in their heads when I say it. And then see what y'all think, and then obviously have conversations, and then I'm going to ship it off, and hopefully no one gets too mad at me. So that's kind of where we are. So
If your substitute is due on Wednesday, we actually have 2 work sessions before that, because we've got a work session on Tuesday night too.
well, the thing is they need my budget.
You have to submit it onto, so then,
They have to have it in form to be filed. So it really needs to be done on Monday, but if we're going to do a work session, I guess it'll have to be done, have it kind of ready and get it done. So Tuesday morning, I mean, is that too late for y'all? I'm required to have it filed on that Wednesday by 12 o'clock. And so
but they have to prepare it.
So
So then do we need to cancel the Tuesday work session, since you will have already dealt with, what are we going to work on? It just says,
I think it says if necessary.
no, Tuesday is work session 6. And then Wednesday, wait.
Unless y'all have I don't think we'll need that Tuesday. I mean, we've got council meeting that night, and we've got committee meetings, and
Yeah, the Wednesday is the if necessary.
Chair, we have a council meeting on the 13th, on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That was what I
Okay.
was just saying. So I do have I know y'all don't I do have a job that my wife requires me to do to bring home money. And if I don't, I won't have a wife and kids, and I prefer to keep them. So that's just where I am on that.
The the Tuesday work session was for half an hour, so it's just kind of to circle back and, punch out any last minute punch list items.
So I guess that would just be telling us what you actually gave,
Yeah, I mean,
if that's necessary. I mean,
because it's going to come out on Wednesday,
Yeah.
before 12, I've got to sign everything. But I think Monday, if we all come Monday, I'll have a really good idea of where we are on where we are on the COLA, kind of when I'm looking at funding, because y'all know the higher the COLA goes, the less we're going to be able to fund. So y'all have kind of told me that y'all want to pay employees as much as we can possibly pay them. But then that tells me that y'all are saying that a lot of these items that we're going to fund may not be funded. But I mean, we kind of went through them tonight, and we kind of know which ones, are important to us all. So, and my vice chair is going to tell me, that way I can blame her. Right, Jennifer?
I heard it was her budget anyway.
So, no, but hopefully we can, do the best we can. My goal is to do the best as I can for the employees. That's number one. So, and I know finance director might look at me strange once I tell her where we're going to take some of it from, but I love her smile sometimes. It's so warming. It's heartwarming. And we have a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.